Okay, we're looking at mixed exercise 6 from the first year core textbook. So this is on circles. Question 17, so it's exam question and it's problem solving. So there's going to be a bit to think about here. Okay, so I've got a nice diagram. So we've got a circle. We are not told the centre. They come on to that a bit later in the question. We are told about A and B. And we are told that that is the midpoint and it passes through the centre. Okay, so we're going to need just to refer a little bit to your circle theorems from last year, because what we've got going on there is you've got the chord AB, and then you've got a line going from the centre of the circle, and it tells you that M is the midpoint. So we've then got a line from the centre of the circle that's bisecting AB. And to be honest, you might have assumed this anyway from the diagram, but you do need to be sure. That does mean that it will be perpendicular to AB, so that we will have two right angles there. I know they look like right angles, but if it doesn't indicate, then you must sort of justify that they definitely are. Okay, so we want the equation of line L. I think that's going to be all right, because based on what we've just said, so this is line L. So well, we know it goes through the midpoint of AB. So let's get that. So the midpoint of AB is just going to be the mean average of their coordinates. So the x coordinate will be 3 plus 5 over 2, and the y coordinate will be 7 plus 1 all over 2. So that's 8 over 2 and 8 over 2. Okay, so that point there is 4, 4, that's the midpoint. And then we've just said that line L will be perpendicular to AB. So if we get the gradient of AB, so again, I'm still looking at these coordinates, so change in y, so 7 minus 1 over change in x, so 3 minus 5. So 6 over minus 2 is minus 3, and yeah, it should be a negative gradient. So, sorry, I could see what I was doing. Right, let's just run through that again. Okay, so the gradient of AB is on the same screen. Okay, so I've done 7 minus 1 for change in y over 3 minus 5 for change in x, and that's all simplified down to minus 3. So that is obviously the gradient of the chord AB. We've already said that line L, so the gradient of line L is perpendicular to that, so we'll have a gradient of a third. So I've now got a point that line L goes through. I've got the gradient of line L, so we're good to go. I'm going to use y minus y1 is m times x minus x1, so y minus 4 is a third times x minus 4. I'm going to multiply it across by the 3, so it's a bit easier than multiplying through by a third, and then multiply those brackets through by 1. And it doesn't ask for it in a particular form, so I'm going to give it, I don't think it did anyway, let's just double check, find the equation for L. No. So I'll just minus the x on the left-hand side and added the 4 over, but any correct equivalent. So y equals a third x plus 8 over 3 would be absolutely fine. Any equivalent to that is okay.